I identify as Korean. That's just my culture. That's my home country. That's exactly how I look now.
But people are very angry at Ollie London. What's making you so mad, bro? Bigotry? Ollie London is just as Korean as Caitlyn Jenner is a woman. Just as Korean. Big news coming out of Britain. I think groundbreaking news. A British influencer named Ollie London is a non-binary person. They have identified as non-binary. But not only that, Ollie London, because Ollie London is a fan of apparently something called K-pop. I will admit that I was not informed on this particular trend. It is Korean pop. Ollie London is a big fan of a particular Korean pop star named Park Ji-min, and decided to have $150,000 worth of plastic surgery in order to, quote unquote, look more Korean. And now Ollie London identifies as trans Korean. Here's Ollie London explaining his new identity.
Or anyone online as British, because I identify as Korean. That's just my culture. That's my home country. That's exactly how I look now. And I also identify as Jimin. That's my Korean name. But not only that, I know it's a little bit confusing for some people. Nobody's ever come out as Jimin or Korean. But this is something that you guys know if you've followed my journey for the last 8 years. I've really struggled with identity issues, with who I am.
Trans Koreans are Koreans. Let me put it again. Trans Koreans are Koreans. Okay? And if I say it over and over, it becomes true. Now, you're going to have to explain to me why Ollie London is not a Korean. Really? And if you say things like, well, Ollie London has never been Korean. Yes, but trans women are not women. I mean, not a single trans woman has ever been a woman. Not one. And if you say, well, Ollie London doesn't even have any of the characteristics of being a Korean absent surgery, I will say to you, neither does a trans woman. And if you say to me that Ollie London has never gone through the experience of actually being Korean, didn't grow up Korean, I'll say neither has a trans woman. There are zero distinctions, none, between being trans Korean and being a trans person of another sex. None. In fact, the only distinctions cut in favor of being transracial rather than transsexual. You can more easily shift your race, which is, in fact, a fluid concept, right? Race is a social construct, apparently. If race is a social construct, you should be able to fluidly shift between them, between the races, far more easily than sex, which is a biological concept deeply ingrained and rooted. So if you say trans women are women, and if you say that everybody's a bigot, if you refuse to acknowledge that trans women are women because they're not, then you need to tell me right now, explain to me that if Ollie London had a bunch of surgeries to appear like a woman or more like a woman, and then said, I am a woman, you would all be cheering the bravery. So brave, so wonderful, so non-stereotypical.